Badger Beer Hour that's November 24. We are pumped to bring you our pre-Thanksgiving Badger Beer Hour filled with events. Joel's taking us to Green County. Yeah, that's it. New Glarus down there, all that. And Landon and I will be taking you everywhere on events, including Black Friday in Milwaukee. And Chris and Landon have not much news, but big news from big breweries here, y'all. So without without further ado, we'll get to that. But actually, with further ado, because I'm going to show you what I'm drinking tonight, y'all. I got me a nice Wisconsin Belgian red, y'all. Um, if y'all don't know about this beer, I shouldn't have to explain it. Y'all already know, right? All right, news.
Well, hey, Chris.
Hi, Landon.
How
What's
you
up,
doing,
dude?
man?
I'm doing okay. I'm
Good?
I'm like sweating profusely from all the energy that I put into putting the
Oh
news
my
segment
gosh.
together this month. It's a banger.
It's that good.
Yep.
You're sweating.
Well, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it. Yeah, well, let's dive in. Apparently 157 years is is a lot. I mean, it's a lot for any of us, right? But apparently it's the end. 157 years is now going to be the end of
It is an
Liney's
end.
Brewing. Yeah.
Well,
In
kind of.
Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, where it started.
Yes. Okay. So
Yeah.
Molson Coors, you may have heard about this one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Molson Coors announced that it's announced, or did it break? I think it announced that it's closing the, as you said, 157-year-old Leinenkugel's brewery in Chippewa Falls. You can see it right there next to my tiny head. And also a secondary brewery in Milwaukee, not the big one. And it's moving its production from both of those breweries into the big brewery in Milwaukee's Miller Valley. That's all happening by mid-January. So let's start in Chippewa Falls here. This is just brutal news there. Leinenkugel's, as a refresher, was a longtime independent brewer in Wisconsin for, as we've said a couple times, 157 years. It was acquired by then Miller Brewing Company in 1988, and it's been operating under those parent. The Miller has become Miller Coors and now Molson Coors. So it's still under that now, I believe, Canadian-based conglomerate, international brewing conglomerate.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is a Chippewa Falls-based brand. I think it's all very, the branding is all very associated with the North Woods and everything. It's Wisconsin through and through. There's the Milwaukee Brewery that you can see there. And this did not go great, in my view. Tony Buer is the sixth generation member of the Leinenkugel family to be running Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, and he told the Chippewa Herald that he did not support the decision, but said he understands the need to consolidate. I don't do a lot of reading quotes in this news Badger Beer Hour news segment, but this is one that I think is worth reading. We had every intention to be here for another 157 years. However, that was an unfortunate decision. I am just incredibly sorry that this is happening. I'm sorry for our family. I'm sorry for this community. And most importantly, I'm really sorry to the employees who have done so much for us over the past, several decades. Making things worse, the company's previous leader, a friend of show, Dick Leinenkugel, told WTMJ in Milwaukee that nobody in the family was, quote, aware of or counseled ahead of this decision.
Right.
And I mean, okay, that's one way to go. All right, so some details about what this actually means. The Liney Lodge, which is kind of the visitor center and restaurant tap, basically the tap room in Chippewa Falls, the Chippewa Falls facing brand of Leinenkugel's will remain open. There's a little pilot brewery in there that we talked about when Dick came on was that last fall? That was about a year ago, right? Or is that 2 years? Whatever.
Boy, it's
Recently.
hard. It's hard to remember. Hard to remember how.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty new, the brewery in there, but the Liner Lodge has been around for a long time. Um, um, uh, this brewery produced about 185,000 barrels. Is what I'm seeing. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a mid-tier. That's a weird spot for a brewery these days, which tend to be quite a bit smaller and more craft oriented, or really really big for really really the economies of scale. The layoff notices according um, filed with the state said that 56 employees will lose their jobs there. Um, the Miller Coors or Molson Coors website describes this location or Chippewa Falls as having 120 employees. So I don't know how to square that, if that's out of date information, or
No.
if there's that many people that it takes to run the Liney Lodge, which I between part-time people and everything that could be possible.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the Chippewa Falls piece of this. The Milwaukee piece, the brewery affected here is known as the 10th Street Brewery. It's on 10th Street. Uh, in it's this big red building visible from Interstate 43. Probably one of the more visible. I mean, right up there with Miller the original Miller as the most visible brewery in Milwaukee. It was built in 1986 by G. Heilman Company, and it's been owned. It's been part of Miller or its successors since 1996, and it's been decked out in red and Liney's logos, I think, for at least a decade.
Yeah.
And that reflects the products that were made there. There was a lot of Liney's being made there. In addition to Chippewa Falls, when Summer Shandy really kicked up and became a national brand, I don't think Chippewa Falls could support all of that, plus the existing, the brands that they'd already, the other brands that they had been brewing. So some of that was moved to this brewery. Molson Coors said in 2017 that it was beginning $1 million expansion of that facility to add new cellars, a warehouse and packing hall, and an additional brew house that would allow it to better make small batch beers and variety packs. That expansion was to bring its capacity to around 250,000 barrels. So I kind of thought I had remembered that this was a relatively small brewery. I've actually been through that brewery before, and it was before this expansion. It was very cramped. Like the shipping center was like Dick Leinekugel, in fact, told me that they could barely that was a major bottleneck for this brewery, that they could make a lot more beer there, but they couldn't ship it as quickly as they needed to. So according to the layoff notice here, 34 people will be losing their jobs with this closing. So why is this happening? There's two major things that precipitated this that are probably related. I should also say, I reached out. Badger Beer Hour reached out to Molson Coors for comment and any additional information beyond the statement that they put out when this news broke, and they were not able to supply. They were not able to get any response by airtime here. So, still hoping that there might be something that they can give us, but it doesn't sound great. So the big piece, the big domino here, I believe, is and Molson Coors mentioned this in the announcement, kind of peripherally, is the end of its longtime contract brewing agreement with Pabst. So Pabst has been most, or a significant amount of Pabst brewing products, which include a whole bunch of different brands now, have been made on contract at Molson Coors breweries for quite a while.
Yep.
That is wrapping up at the end of December. This, impending here, after a really long legal fight that brought a lot of this really shadowy arrangements between the big brewing companies for contract brewing out into the open, which was very exciting for a beer industry nerd like me.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that probably, I would imagine, hundreds of thousands of barrels of beer of capacity, brewing capacity, are opening up in the Miller Valley Brewery, which is where a lot of the Pabst and other stuff was made. So, 185K in Chippewa Falls, 200. I don't know. The capacity of 250. Maybe it's less than that based on the sales of those brands and stuff. Opening up, you don't want to have empty tanks in the brewing industry, and this is a pretty clear indication of what they wanted to do. Now, the other half of this, and maybe I don't know, there's probably two different things happening here, but is the sale of almost all of Molson Coors craft portfolio earlier this year. We talked about this on the show. I've written about this. At the end of the summer, Molson Coors sold the Hop Valley, Terrapin, Revolver, and Atwater to Tilray brands. So those are Atwater's in Michigan, or was founded in Michigan, based in Michigan. Revolver is Texas. Terrapin is Atlanta or Athens, Georgia. But a lot of that beer had been made, like that had become a national brand. Sorry, the other one's Hop Valley in Oregon. So I know that, I mean, it was pretty apparent to anybody who really follows this stuff that Terrapin was being made at 10th Street in Milwaukee, because it was all over Milwaukee. Like when there was a big event where Miller was like, a main beer sponsor, Terrapin was like the craft IPA that they would have. So it's like, okay, I know what's happening here.
Yeah.
So this is, and almost all that stuff, to the degree that it was being made large batch and going national, was being made. I shouldn't say all of that, because Hop Valley had a pretty good sized brewery, and that rollout here did not go real well. And so to the degree that anything became successful, and this was going to be the springboard to bring it national. You can make 250,000 barrels of craft beer, including Liney's stuff and whatever. Like, that's going to be the engine for that. Obviously, it didn't go as planned, and they sold off all these brands. So basically, the OGs, the craft OGs in Miller, Molson Coors, whatever you want to call it, that are left are the Coors brand, Blue Moon, which is the craft portfolio or the craft division of Molson Coors has been known for a long time as 10th and Blake. 10th being this brewery, and Blake being Blake Street, where the Blue Moon in Coors Field, where Blue Moon was founded, by Molson Coors. They did not buy Blue Moon. That was an in-house creation by Coors. So, and basically that's it. That's left as far as craft. And I don't know. You can say what you want about the craft, how craft Blue Moon and Liney's are, but it's a huge change for this company. So, the other piece of this that I found while looking into all this that week was the sale price for all the four of those craft breweries, and it is insanely low. I think it. I should find it right now, but it was basically like $23 million they sold all four of those craft breweries for.
Oh wow!
To Tilray, and that Tilray basically said, like, this is, they said as much, that this is basically a distressed sale. We're not looking to buy breweries, but this was too good to pass up.
Couldn't pass it up. Yeah,
exactly. Here it is. $23 million for those four breweries.
Wow.
Less than half of their combined. This is according to filings with I think it's the SEC. So they acquired $23 million is less than half of their, and that is Molson Coors saying pretty clearly, we are done with craft. And so I don't know if I'm Tony Buer and Dick Leinenkugel, I'm I think the fact that Dick said anything and said that they weren't looped in tells you how they're feeling about their parent company right now.
I would say as time has gone by, the more distance that the Leinenkugel family has between them and the parent company. I think, unfortunately, the Leinenkugel family has just become figureheads more and
Yeah.
more.
If they
I
didn't
mean,
know, then yeah, I mean,
right. Yeah.
what are they even doing here, right?
That I
And
think the biggest disappointment is the loss of jobs, obviously, especially after what early in the spring is when they just had a union. They had a strike. They got
Yep.
that resolved, and then just the final gut punch to just have your job taken out from underneath you completely. It's
Yeah, I
terrible.
thought it was telling that Buer, who supposedly is the boss,
Yep.
who is
Yeah.
fighting with that union, those union employees, singled out or said, most of all, our employees. I thought that was pretty classy.
Yeah. Yep.
Got to be. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just brutal. It's horrible, and I'm very curious to see what happens to both of these facilities. I don't know if anybody's going to want a 150-year-old brewery of that size. I'm sure there've been investments put in to modernize, but
Yeah. Yeah. There
there's only
has.
so
Yeah.
much
There's.
you can do to some degree, there, and that's a relic of another time, for
Right.
sure.
Right.
Now
I
the
mean,
Milwaukee
it's.
brewery, I think, is pretty interesting. It's bigger than than any craft brewer would want, probably.
Yeah.
But if there's a regional, we remember, Sierra Nevada, and uh, New Belgium opening on the East Coast. There's a lot of fresh water, really really close to that brewery, that could be really appealing for. But I don't know. I mean, that era is kind of over. Like, it seems like it,
Yeah.
at least for a while. So I don't know. It's purpose built, and it's modernized. It's ready to go. But
I,
where we're
I
at
mean, I
right
can
now
tell you
in the
this:
industry.
the Leinenkugel Brewery in Chippewa won't go away. The building itself is a historic building, so that'll be there. But what will happen with all of the equipment and everything inside will be,
Yeah,
you would hope maybe they can come up with some sort of innovative way to use it. But I suppose it's a matter of what Molson Coors wants to do.
that's right. I think they're going to
Yep,
want to sell it pretty quick.
probably.
That's what you do.
I would imagine.
That's what
I
they do when they do stuff like this. So
That's true.
too bad.
That's true. It's too bad. But moving on, that's not the only huge news that we have in Wisconsin beer in the past few weeks. And it doesn't have anything to do with our buddy in Minocqua. So
Yeah, we managed to get a whole month without talking about Minocqua. That's pretty exciting. And I did
good.
check.
Yeah,
No developments in that
I
yet.
don't
So
doubt it. I don't doubt it.
yeah. So this one's out of New Glarus. We've
Yeah.
got then this broke right after our last show. So stop me if you've heard this one. I know you've heard this one, but I'm gonna bring it all together for you and tell you why it
Nice.
matters. All right.
Yeah.
So this is a $55 million expansion of the New Glarus Hilltop Brewery. So we're talking, what does 55 million get you in a brewery these days? How about 65,000 square feet? 4 stories addition with a new building built into the side of that hilltop of the hill that it's on.
Wow. Yeah.
It's going to have an underground entrance for visitors. The visitor thing is a big part of this. So they're going to create a larger retail and tasting room space.
Yep.
It moves and expands the beer depot from basically the little basement of the brewery into kind of its again, purpose built kind of space. It's moving the visitors driveway, which is basically the where you see the people here in this area.
Yep.
It's gonna, that kind of curls around the hill up to the top, and that there's like a parking lot basically where you see the thing with the red windows. That's kind
Very
of where the
nice.
parking is.
Yeah.
So it's moving that driveway kind of behind the brewery, quadruples the number of parking spaces to 183. The existing little road to the brewery is going to be converted into a bike path that's going to connect with the Sugar River Trail that isn't that far from the brewery. And they're creating a demonstration brew house with an old brewing vessel from like the late 1800s from Germany that, Dan just like picks this old brewing shit up from Germany all the time. Big fan of that stuff.
Yeah.
So there's also a production element to this. So the production area expansion is about 25,000 square feet. That's including 4, I believe, new copper brew kettles. It's that's going to increase the brewery capacity from about 230,000 barrels last year to about 300,000 barrels when upon completion. They are still only distributing in Wisconsin. Sorry, Illinois people, you're still going to have to go to Kenosha Woodman's. And it also will launch the long-awaited distillery, which the Careys have been talking about since 2016. So that's been a long time coming here. But it's pretty clear that the production stuff is out. I mean, that's a big deal. That's 25%, whatever, a production increase. But it's pretty clear that the Careys really wanted Dan Carey is the brewmaster, Deb Carey is the president of the brewery. That they wanted to talk most about kind of the enhancement to the visitor experience, which is like not great right now. Let's be honest. They're gonna all this stuff is going to allow them to bring back weekend tours and weekend hours for tours and tastings and the beer depot. All that's been on hold since the pandemic due to staffing issues and space concerns, and
Sure.
kind of, I don't know, I got the vibe that they didn't really want to do anything until this was ready to go. I think this has been in the works for a long time, and they were just kind of waiting because they don't need it.
Right.
And they didn't have a lot of detail about, like, it says one of the things that's explicitly in the release and what they talked about is a tasting room. They didn't really talk about what that's going to look like. Now, I mean, when we think about a brewery tasting room, we're like, especially at a brewery this size and of this stature, like this, like Joel, in my story about this, I mentioned Joel, I think he tweeted that this is like it's one of his top 5 brewing destinations in the country. And that is entirely in spite of the amenities and the amenities are nice. It's a beautiful beer garden, great location, great view, all that stuff. But like, they are not set up like Surly or like,
Sure.
like the Rev brew pub or like pretty much any like major brewery has got like a big tap room, maybe a restaurant. It's set up to have people come and like stay for a while and try all the beers and try special beers. New Glarus has never been interested in that, and I think a big part of it is, and they didn't really talk about this at the press conference. They didn't talk about this and I'm going to be curious to see what the new thing looks like here, because they have been very careful not to divert dollars from the businesses that they believe help. Like when they were a tiny brewery selling weird beer in Green County in 1990 whatever,
Yeah.
I think 93.
It's been a while.
They didn't, like, none of it made sense. And I mean, craft beer was kind of starting to become, microbrews were kind of a thing, but like, in this little small town, the restaurants and the bars took a chance and supported them and bought their kegs and bought more kegs and I think they have never forgotten that. And I would be really shocked if there's like a Surly taproom type thing, anything with food service, like major food service, because they want their visitors to come and see where the beer is made, have a beer or two in the beer garden or whatever, and then go to Toffler's and go to go support the establishments that supported them when they needed it the most. So
Yep.
we'll see. But I mean, no matter what, this is going to make, like, who can come and go to New Glarus, Wisconsin from anywhere, like from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Tuesday through Friday. Like, that's just not really something that's set up to be, a modern brewery visit experience,
Yeah.
So I think this is, I mean, it makes a ton of sense, and yeah, I'm excited. I think they said opening late 2026, I believe, or maybe
Okay.
it's going to take a while. So obviously, you got to
Yep.
hollow out a hole in your hill. So it's going to take a bit.
It's going to take a little bit.
It's going
Yeah.
to take a little bit.
Going to take a little bit. We've got, other than that, we've got some more good growth news, but we don't like the bad growth news. We got good growth news.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
this is a small one, but I think it's interesting. So Brewfinity is a little brewery in Oconomowoc in Lake Country, just west of Milwaukee. And if you've ever gone to Brewfinity or Sweet Mullet before it is so hard to get there. It's in like this little industrial park in kind of the middle of nowhere. It is not near any of the freeway. It's kind of close to the freeway, but it's not near any of the freeway exits. Like you got to go through all this maze of back roads, back streets and stuff to get there.
Wow.
And the whole time you're thinking like, this can't be it. This can't be it. And then you get to this little industrial park and it's like, okay, oh, there it is. All right. So not a great, I have been there. I have not been to it since in the Brewfinity days, but they're opening a tap room in basically downtown Pewaukee, which is just the next town over, and it's on this little. It's like the most visitor friendly area of Pewaukee. It's right across from the little city beach. There's a bunch of other restaurants and little shops and things. It's very much got a kind of a downtown vibe. So it's a super. I don't think the release said that they're doing any brewing there, but it's going to be taproom experience in a place that's like way easier to get to. So that should be great. Good for Brewfinity, good for Pewaukee. Pewaukee does not. Joel can maybe fact check me on this when he comes on, but I don't think Pewaukee has a brewery or a taproom currently. So there you go.
Okay. And then to wrap up this month's news, we've got some labor stuff to report.
Yeah, actually, one other little real quick news item.
I missed that. Hubbleton,
this is just today.
Yeah,
just announced a few hours ago. Hubbleton Brewing Company, which is in this little tiny town of Hubbleton. It's called Hubbleton, I think. Kind of north of Lake Mills, near Waterloo, like Lake Mills, Waterloo area, just between Madison and Milwaukee. Cool little brewery, really well regarded tap room. They got tons of events and stuff, and a lot of live music and good vibes on the grounds there during the summer, and especially. They have been bottling beer for maybe I think it's been at least 6 years or so, and mostly distributed in Madison. And they are ending that. This little tiny fine print announcement you can see here on your screen says that costs for packaging materials has gone up like 100% in the last year or two, and it's just not worth it anymore. So they're still going to be sending kegs into distribution, or I'm not sure if they were with a distributor, but sending kegs out to Madison and the markets that they're already in. I think they're probably self-distributed, but so still doing that, but no longer doing bottling, except for like a few specialty releases and stuff like that will be sold out of the tap room. So little news there. But the wrapping up, we've got like more labor stuff, and this is a weird one because usually when you hear about union activity at breweries, it's like, well, like the Chippewa, like the lining stuff in Chippewa Falls. We've talked about Molson Coors here in Milwaukee recently, but this time it's a place that I've only heard mostly good things about, and that's at Lakefront. So on Lakefront Brewery in Milwaukee, just kind of not taking any of that for granted. There it is. That's Lakefront Brewery. Oh, there's Ashley Smart. She's good. She's a good beer reporter. So 71 hospitality workers voted to authorize a union on October 30th. And here's a quote from the rep. I have not seen a story where management commented on this, which is typically how it goes.
Sure.
It says Lakefront, the union rep here says, Lakefront had the option to pursue harmonious labor relations and like grown-ups, down at the table and negotiate a contract. Instead, what they've decided to do thus far is to pursue anti-union measures. There's the other things that this rep kind of talks about is basically like, this is a lot of people work here because it's a cool place to work, not because it's a good place to work. They mentioned kind of the psychological toll of this, and I don't know. I mean, like, hospitality jobs are tough, but I think they're saying there's a better way, and we will watch what happens with this. And that is Badger Beer Hour news for November.
Hey, everybody. I am back for another edition of Badger Beer Travels. And this was something that was decided before the New Glarus news was broken. But here we are, and we are going to be going to Green County. And as many people know, that is partially New Glarus, but there are more breweries, including a very historic brewery in Green County that is not New Glarus, that people may know about, but also may not be as familiar with. So first, just a little bit of background. Green County, population about 37,000. Monroe is kind of the big city, quote unquote. It was actually named, so according to Wikipedia, it was actually named for the verdant color of vegetation, I guess. I guess when you're naming all the different counties, sometimes you just kind of run out of people to name them after or ideas. So you name it Green because there's trees around, I guess. And then Monroe is also nicknamed the cheese capital of the world. As you can see, it's about an hour south of Madison, 3-ish hours from Green Bay. So depending where you're coming from, it's obviously all the way down there, bumping up on the Illinois border, kind of more centralish, southern centralish Wisconsin. And so, as always, we start off with the lay of the land. And New Glarus is in the, the northern portion of the county. And then in Monroe to the south, about 20-ish minutes, 22 minutes, it says, there are two breweries, and they are only about a block or two apart. They are both downtown, very, very close to each other. And that is Minas Craft Brewery and Bulquarian Brew House. And we will get to them, and they are two, could not be more different places, in their entirety. But we'll start with New Glarus, which, funny enough, there's going to be so many changes coming. This is going to become, what I'm going to be talking about. I know Chris already kind of talked about what they are going to be doing here in the next year and a half-ish, 2 years, the changes that they are making. But right now, he mentioned that I do love New Glarus, and I think because of the unique qualities to a visit there is one thing that sticks out to me, because it is very unique. Like right now, it is, you're going out into the beer garden, and that is really the only place that you're able to sample a few beers. It is not a typical tap room experience. But I guess first we should back up just to give people a little bit of a history lesson if you do not already know. New Glarus was founded in 1993. They obviously only distribute in Wisconsin. They briefly were in Illinois, but then pulled back when they realized how terrible of an idea that was to, be in Illinois. Then as they broke ground on this Hilltop location in 2006, after, they had originally had a location in the town of New Glarus. And so when you're visiting there, they designed it to look like a Bavarian village. And that's really how it feels like. They almost have like some fake kind of like ruins in the beer gardens that you can walk around. It's a very large space. As Chris mentioned, it's got great views. If you're there, obviously in winter, it's not quite as nice, but if you're there, during the warm months, it is one of the best places to be. And that's why I think I love it so much, is that it is so different from your typical brewery experience in a beautiful way. But I do think that these changes that they're going through are going to certainly elevate it to an even better experience overall for a wider swath of people. In particular, as was already discussed, them being able to go back to having the weekend hours. Because I know I've talked with a lot of people out of state. that want to visit New Glarus and that they've wanted to try to come here, and the timing hasn't worked out because of the odd hours. Right now, some of the other things that you were able to do, visitors can do a self-guided tour, walk through parts of the facility. And I always include examples of beer, but I'm pretty sure everyone listening knows the beer. Spotted Cow, Moon Man, Two Women, Pilsner, Kid Kolsch, and Raspberry Tart. So those Kid Kolsch and Raspberry Tart are probably my two favorites. Fat Squirrel is just pretty much classic beer after classic beer. Obviously, Spotted Cow is what built the brewery and has enabled them to do a lot of their cool R&D stuff and more out there kind of things. Because Spotted Cow's everywhere. That's the beer that is synonymous with New Glarus and synonymous with the Wisconsin beer scene as a whole. But yeah, so that's kind of the gist on New Glarus. Again, most people already know about that brewery and want to go and visit. And then the brewery, though, 20 minutes south, Minhas Craft Brewery. So it was established in 1845 and is the second oldest brewery in the country. And yes, it continuously operated through Prohibition, and they survived a fire. That's partially because they were making a lot of different, sodas and all that kind of stuff. They're currently the 18th largest brewery in the U.S. So this is something that they do produce some of their own brands, Boxer beer, like Boxer Lager, Boxer Ice, you can see down there, the Lazy Mutt brand. So they have a couple different brands essentially that produce different beers under that brand. And the Boxer brand, from what I can tell, is kind of more of your very light, very cheap, basic kind of beers, more macro-ish type beers. And then the Lazy Mutt are kind of more of the crafty options. You can see there on the list, they make a chocolate stout, double IPA, Belgian white ale. So they kind of have their own thing, but they also produce beer for several brands, including Trader Joe's and Kirkland. Both of them that produce their beers are made here. It is also home to the world's largest brewery memorabilia collection, which is located in the basement, which I went and checked out when I visited. Oh gosh, that was a long time ago. 2016 or 2017, maybe. Either way, it was a long time ago, but it's a really cool space to go and visit. In terms of getting to see, I always love, there's a couple other places like that. Potosi has the museum. A place like Pike Brewing in Seattle is tons and tons of brewery memorabilia. I always love going to places like that because there's so much to look at. And on top of all that, they also are a distillery. They make sodas, and they're sending their beer to 18 different countries. I believe Boxer's, a big part of that, that they kind of ship around the world. But yeah, it's a very interesting brewery for sure. It is one of the more unique ones, I would say, just because of the history, the size of it, that they're producing all these different brands under their own name and also producing beers for these companies like Trader Joe's and Kirkland. So yeah, really interesting spot. And then Bulquarian opened up in 2017. And this is more of, we've talked about two breweries so far. This is more of a typical what you think of when you think of a little craft brewery. They're located right downtown. They started out as a 2-barrel system and increased it to 4 barrels in 2019. A little fun fact about the name that I learned: Bulquarian is supposed to be an amalgamation of the husband and wife's zodiac symbols. It's a husband and wife team that opened it. Taurus and Aquarius, apparently they managed to, that's where they get the bull Aquarian thing. They have a large food menu here. Looking for a bite to eat. Pizzas seem to be their main thing, based off of the menu that I saw, but they also offer quite an array of sandwiches and apps. And they're also really big on different music nights. So they have a lot of different live music nights, and they also have vinyl nights every Fridays. So they have more of your typical brewpub taproom experience. And they also have, really nice wide variety of beers. They go blonde ale, dark ale. They have the Fatbacks IPA, Cheeseheads New England IPA. I never mean Duck Belgian style amber. And they also currently had on a Bowles Brewing brown kettle sour ale, which I thought was really interesting. So very, nice, smaller type of brewery. That's one that I have actually not been to yet. But yeah, so that is wrapping up Green County. And as always, whether it's where you're living or where you're visiting, be sure to drink local everywhere. Cheers, everybody.
Sorry, Joel. Sorry, Joel, for running over you there. Yeah. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Greg? We got all sorts of events, man.
It's insane. It's insane. I'll let you start because yeah, you started off the research this weekend.
I found a different way of finding events, so I wanted to cover the state as much as I could, just to give a real, you know.
And real quick, Landon, I just want to say this. We said it a bunch of times, but I want to say
Yeah,
it again. Um, when this little thing, Badger Beer Hour, started, we didn't even have events.
that's
We
true.
didn't even have a segment. We weren't even talking about events. So the fact that we are here, Landon, shows that
Yeah,
we've come a long ways, and it's amazing, actually.
that's good. That's good. So I think Earth Rider had this last year. So Earth Rider's in Superior. They call it Sauna du Nord in residence. So they are there for roughly a month. And it's a portable sauna. You can make an appointment, go sit in the sauna outside of the brewery. Sessions are 75 minutes. Saunas are good for slimming you down, getting all the toxins out, get you real detoxed, and then you can go back inside of the Cedar Lounge for a beer, or if you don't feel like getting any more of those beer toxins back in you, you can have something that's an NA. But from what I mean, I've been in a sauna a couple times. It's a good experience. So and I mean, today we're getting snow up here, so I imagine Superior's probably getting something similar.
Mhm.
So 'tis the season to sit in a sauna.
There you go. Y'all are
Starts tomorrow.
y'all are y'all are innovative up there with the trying to keep warm. You really are.
I
But
gotta give it to breweries, especially the ones that are doing well. They are making an effort to do more creative things all of the time. So whatever it takes to drum up business, I commend everybody for doing that stuff. So it's good.
and that's probably a good segue for what's coming up because we
Yeah.
got a lot.
So
You
we talked.
found this one up near you, yeah. This one up
Yeah,
near
yeah. So we talked about Kugel's closing, but obviously the Liney Lodge, we said that too. The Liney Lodge will be open.
Better
And
be,
it's going to be
better
open.
be.
Yeah, right.
Like,
So you had shared a picture earlier today of in our chat from 8 years ago, you at the Liney
oh
Lodge.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Liney Lodge looks a lot different now. So you really you can sit at the bar, you can order beer at the bar, you don't have to get a ticket anymore, you don't have to put on a wristband anymore. If you want to stop and have a beer, you can do that. They've got that pilot system in there. You can look at that. Obviously you can still buy merch and all that kind of good stuff. But over the holidays, especially as we get closer to Christmas, they do a good job of trying to push their merchandise. They've got, live music and shopping and all the great stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
they'll now have that every Saturday through 12/21.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool, cool. Up next, we're approaching Thanksgiving now.
Yeah, yeah. I thought this was kind of a neat thing. I'm not really a dessert beer guy, but if you are a dessert beer person, Growler Guys here in town is doing a dessert beer tasting event. And I believe I saw in the post that you will be able to walk away with some of those beers if you like any of them to take to Thanksgiving on Thursday. So this is Wednesday, the day before. Yeah.
Look at that.
They've,
If you're not cooking for Thanksgiving, you need to show up with something. So yeah,
yeah,
this is perfect. This is
yeah,
perfect. This is perfect
yeah.
because cooking on Thanksgiving is, oof, especially a big ass family of people coming over. You know what I mean?
Well, if you got a big family you don't like, you probably better have a few more of those beers too.
Right, and that's
Make
why
make it.
they need to bring the beer because they're annoying. Right,
Yeah, that's right.
right.
That's right.
It's fair, only fair.
That's right. Yep.
So we have this one here. Little peek before, but this is one of a brewery that's leaving us, y'all. So this is time to enjoy them
Yeah.
maybe one last time. But wait,
Mobcraft, right?
yeah, 10
Yeah.
days I think they post. Is what I read today on Milwaukee Magazine, by the way. Um, but yeah, so this is the Stout Fest, y'all. It's what is it? Oh yeah, so it's oh no, it's this weekend. Actually, it's not even next weekend. It's this weekend. We got this
This
go look
weekend. Yeah.
the timeline. Yeah, but so it's this weekend. Southwest, I believe, is something that's been going on with them for a while. So I think this is a annual thing. So they're still doing it. But what stood out to me the most here, Landon, was these variants that sound really, really good, and it's
Yeah.
they look like they're ones that you could cellar for sure. And that may be a good way for you to keep Mobcraft around longer than Mobcraft's going to be, y'all. So you go
Right.
and you buy some of these, and 2 years later, you can pull out a Mobcraft at Landon's birthday party, and Landon will be like, "Wait, Mobcraft? Wait, we missed it." You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
keep that in mind when y'all think about maybe going to Southfest this weekend. And also, again, if y'all are Mobcraft fans, this is the time, y'all, to say goodbye. I'm sure Henry will be around.
Yep.
So, yep, you can say goodbye to him. So, give him some appreciation for, Mobcraft and what they've been around doing for the community. And, everybody should love your neighborhood pub. So, I would assume that if you live near Mobcraft and you were up the street, I'm sure you enjoyed it. So, um, hats tip to Mobcraft there. If we don't get to say goodbye to them
Yep.
before. But, so yeah, there's that. So, staying in that same neighborhoodish, uh, we're going to start to see these. Landon wonderful segued into this by saying that breweries are being innovative as far as having different things. And one of the things we've seen pop up, Lakefront's been doing this for a while now. Lakefront seems to be one that's innovative as far as trying to be doing different things, and it seems like there's a lot of copycat. I'm not saying breweries copycat, but like that's what happens. They see a big place do it, and they're like, oh, we can do that, and then they go.
Yep.
It's not a negative. It's staying alive. It's being smart sometimes. A smart idea is a
Right.
good idea. So, Lakefront is, as y'all can see, they have their own Makers Market. I think this is, or let's say 24th, so Sunday. You can dip in the lakefront for a beer and check out a whole bunch of vendors that they have here. And they've been doing this for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. So, they, after you do something for 3 or 4 years, Landon, kind of like this, you get a little better at it, actually.
Right.
And don't go back and look at those first Badger Beer hours. You can keep them in the archives. That's good. We're good with that. We're all good with that. We're much more polished now. But yeah, so check out Lakefront, y'all, this Sunday. Um, and it's time to start thinking about Christmas. So um, yeah, so now we have 10. Milwaukee Magazine always puts this wonderful. I think it comes out every Wednesday. It actually might come out Tuesday. Chris could probably tell us because actually Chris should be able to tell us, but whatever. Um, uh, this wonderful piece comes out for y'all. Yep, Tuesdays, Chris verifies. This wonderful piece comes out for y'all in Milwaukee. You're all privileged in this manner because this is wonderful. And it tells you everything that's going on. So make sure you check there. Landon and I don't have enough time to go through all of them, but there's yoga events, there's all these different things, especially that Landon again set us up with by saying, breweries being innovative. You'll find it on that Milwaukee Magazine piece too. So now Landon, I think does Chris or Joe want to come up and talk about this? I see Chris saying yes, and I see Joel saying yes. So I I have nothing to say besides before we bring them up. I have nothing
Yeah.
to say besides this fucking shit is insane. Excuse my language. Sorry it came out of nowhere, but like I haven't seen any other place do it like this, and to the extent and just the wonderful things that are coming out. It just makes me completely jealous. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
shut up and we're going to bring up because Landon and I are not the Milwaukee contingency here. So we will bring up our Milwaukee contingency, and they will comment on what's going on here, y'all. This is going to be it gets wilder and wilder. What is going on?
Well, it's Black Friday next week, so you know, I I don't. I mean, Black Friday became a thing in Milwaukee because of Lakefront, and they have been doing for gosh, saying this probably says in the story here actually, 2011. So it's been 14 years now or 13 years now that they've been doing Black Friday, and it's fun, it's great. Like, you've got a day that you can just kill by, if you're a crazy person going and fighting over a TV that's $100 less than what you think it should be, or you can go and drink the day away, and that's what people have been doing at Lakefront for a long time. And I think other breweries started recognizing, like, hey, this is fun, we should do this. And so it is basically Imperial Stout Day in Milwaukee. And how many, like, is it doesn't even say, it should say how many there are, but I mean, it is like double digit numbers of breweries. Most of the breweries in Milwaukee have some kind of special release or event or whatever, and most of them tend toward big beers. The barrel aged stout is kind of a thing, following Lakefront's lead. Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know, Joel, do you want to start with Lakefront? I mean, and we're not going to run
I mean,
through all
they're
of
the
it.
OG. I mean, they're the one
Yeah.
that most people think of when they think of Black Friday in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and I mean, this one goes back to, I mean, this is like a full-on party. Like, people get there overnight, they camp overnight, they drink, they party, they have fun, they camp out. To kind of put it in perspective, the Curd Wagon, their cheese curd, like, food truck, like Lakefront's own, is opening at 5 a.m. So they're going to have a line. They're expecting a line out there like they have every year. People are going to be drinking, having fun, and napping by 2 o'clock for sure. The doors open at 8 o'clock. But, unlike previous years, you can stop by later on Friday or later in the weekend if you don't want to do the whole, the whole rigmarole. Packers play Thursday night. Just throwing that out there. Landon, that's for you. But they can,
Don't care.
You can go in on Saturday or whatever and get probably some, if not most, of this year's variants. They're doing the classic Black Friday. They've got the triple black IPA coming back, which is, I think that was actually that was the original, right? I think the first Black Friday was the big black IPA. And then the other ones they've got this year are an Imperial Brown aged in Wollersheim port barrels, and then a 5-year-old an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels for 5 years. So those are the variants. I think they're all in 19.2 ounce cans this year again, and they're like $15 to $20, I think, each, or something like that. So not too bad. I'm going to be stopping by there later in the weekend, I think, to pick up a couple of those.
Yeah.
Joel, what are you excited about?
Thanks.
What caught your eye?
Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
That
You want me to Amelia somebody?
port barrel one, I will pay you double for that shit. I'm not even
You don't have to pay double. I can just get it.
Well, I will pay port barrel. Are y'all? I'm sorry. Go, Joe. I'm sorry.
No, I don't have it. Well, so I'm going to be out of town visiting my parents in Minnesota. So I will be out away, but I do wish that there certainly are several beers, and I like to kind of point out a couple beers that are maybe not quite as big, because that's what I kind of tend to prefer. Like, I will definitely drink some of the Imperial Stouts. I think there was one here, the Deadbird one, the Peanut Butter Imperial Oatmeal Stout, Imperial, that sounded pretty good. but yeah, I mean, Eagle Park's going to be another one. Obviously, that they're going to have a ton of stuff coming out. Several different variants of imperial stouts, multiple barley wines that were aged in different bourbon casks with a variety of different things. And of course, there's a couple of the sour ales. I'm big on the Czech lagers, and so seeing more breweries start to make them. Enlighten's releasing a Czech dark lager, which I thought was an interesting move for this, and they obviously have some other things as well. And then Explorium is the other one that if you're really into kind of comparing and contrasting, different types of barrels, I know that they have their Milwaukee County Stout. They have what? I'm trying to think here. 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 5 barrels from 5 different companies that they're going to be releasing from. So that would be kind of an interesting one if that's kind of your speed to do that kind of comparison for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned barley wines. I was excited to see a couple of different barley wines. Good City has one aged on oak, called BFG, and Ope has a really good one called Full Send that's aged in bourbon barrel. I had that beer it was a couple of years ago now. That was Ope to me is up and down a little bit, but that barley wine was 100. That was a win. So, and then there's other breweries that aren't doing barrel stouts or barrel aged stouts that I think are interesting. Like Gathering Place from the show also is doing their first Belgian quad. That's nice. Cool. And they also have an imperial milk stout with coffee too. So, it's nice to see breweries kind of do things within their own kind of wheelhouse that presses it forward. Black Husky is another one that's doing something that they were like, we don't want to just do everything else, and theirs is ahead of the pack. A Belgian Golden Strong that I believe is like 15-16% or something. It's a monster. Simon's from Venture is weighing in. You got one coming out. Well, what is it, Simon? Is it Night Crew?
Said he hasn't posted about it yet. You get it. You get to it. You get to it, man.
On Badger Beer Hour here.
There you go. Breaking news here on Badger Beer Hour.
Apple Spice Berliner. That's the one I want to try.
Stout. See, coffee tropical stout. See, this is cool. Like when you kind of get weird with styles and stuff like that. Like,
and the other one,
lager is not weird anymore, but it's cool. No, Enlightened is doing that. They don't do like big barrel aged beers and stuff. Like they're drinkers, and so they make drinkers. They make beers that are very drinkable. So check out.
And the thing that the comment that you made about breweries also kind of doing what fits into their wheelhouse too. Like Raised Grain out in Waukesha is doing 2 different brandy barrel aged imperial red ales. And like the imperial red, like that seems kind of up their speed, and they're making 2 different versions of the barrel aged imperial red ale, which I think is pretty interesting. And they also have a Christmas ale, so they have a couple things there that may be not that you're not going to see that anywhere else.
Yeah. Stumble Biscuits, that's right. So and another like the holiday beers, or the Christmas style beers, spiced and honeyed and whatever.
Yep.
This is another one for that. It's Component is doing one like that. I believe there's another one that I'm blanking. I don't know. Go to MilwaukeeMag.com. It's right in the slider.
Yeah.
The story's right on the top of the front page.
And it lists everything.
You'll find it there, and you can. Yeah, it's got everything. Although I guess 1840 and
except for Venture
are the 2.
Yeah, it doesn't have Venture.
And
we've got
1840
Venture
has one too, but they have not responded to us yet. So we're trying to find out what they're releasing.
Ooh, Wizard Works has a mead beer hybrid. That's something else that's different. It's
magic.
It's magic.
Wave of the magic wand.
All right. Is that events? I think that's events.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
No.
Not even quite. We're not even done, man.
We're not even halfway done.
Snap. Well, we
got so many events.
Yeah, you should have cut us off earlier.
This is why
Oh,
I'm producer and Chris is news guy.
that's
Because
right.
Chris, right. So we were talking about a little bit before then, real quick, about Christmas time is here,
Yeah.
whether y'all
Yeah.
like it or not, because some people don't want to start
Damn
before
screwed.
Thanksgiving. We're not even going to get to that, those people or whatever that argument is. We don't have time. But what we do have time for is these breweries now. Again, Lakefront, we said before, Lakefront, setting the tone with the market, Lakefront setting the tone with Black Friday. This is
Yeah.
how you become an OG. I'm waiting to see what happens with the union thing. Please, please. Good, good, sending, manifesting good things. But that aside, Lakefront. I mean, people clearly breweries and people look for Lakefront to see what they're doing to,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, to see what works. And if it works for them, hey, why can't it work for us? So, still make up in Green Bay. Looks like you found. What's going on with this one?
Yeah, Stillmank is doing a Christmas cookie and beer pairing, which I thought was great because you see when the Girl Scout cookies come out, you see a lot of people doing beer pairings with Girl Scout cookies, and I thought that's great. Christmas cookies with beer. So yeah, Wednesday, December 4th. It's on a Wednesday, so 6 to 8 p.m. there in Green Bay at Stillmank. You can cookies by 3 Flour Bakes and tickets. So you can go to their website
Yeah,
or
my tickets.
I
Okay.
think you can find it on Facebook.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So
yeah.
it's a ticketing event. Don't just show up,
Yep.
y'all.
Yep.
Or maybe there'll still be tickets, but if you show up,
Who
you
knows?
gotta realize that it might be sold out or something. So
If you really
keep
want to
that in
go
mind.
get a ticket. Yep.
Keep that in mind. So this is one near and dear to Landon and I's heart for sure.
Yeah. So VIP night at Kegel's
Yeah.
Inn. Yeah. 100 years, 100th anniversary. You and I went here last year, so 2023.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great place. Really
Yeah.
nice beer garden inside. The food is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A quick little bit of context, y'all. Landon and I went running around y'all's beer gardens in Milwaukee one day and taking a whole bunch of shots. And we, Linda and I, if you go to Taproom Travelers YouTube, you'll be able to see Landon's coverage of it. We haven't really done anything on Badger Beer with that footage yet, but we will soon. Something's in the works for that. But that being said, we had a great day. Our families hung out. We just hung out. We all just kind of just went to all the beer festival, beer gardens, and then we all shared dinner together, which was fantastic because
Yeah.
our family got to mingle and Landon and I know each other, but our significant others and everybody. It was just really good. And it was here. This was our last stop because it was technically a beer garden, and it is a beer garden for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just a really excellent one. It's old school. It's history. In there, you feel like the food was just blatantly authentic, German. It was just excellent. And
Excellent. Yeah.
Landon could speak to the German part. I can't. And y'all were really happy with what was going on at the table.
Yeah.
So we can't say enough about how Kegels Inn is great and how y'all should anytime go there really. But this
100%.
this event's probably really going to be special because they have of course the normal things. They got live music, but they're doing tours. Looks like the mayor is going to be there, and you're going to have some dignitary, well, quote unquote dignitaries or politicians or whatever we call them.
Yeah.
People who may be important or something. Anyway,
They think they're important. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh, well, that we can't confirm. That we can't confirm. But there's
Uh,
a raffle. There's great prizes. There's door prizes. There's everything going on. It's just really nice. They probably, it's probably going to be heated. So yeah, Hegel's Inn. If you live in Milwaukee, you haven't been there. Why?
yeah.
That's
Why?
that's it. Why? Because Landon
Get
and I
there.
aren't from there, and we were there. And every time, Landon, next time we go to the beer gardens, let's go there for dinner. I just
Yeah.
don't
Hell yeah.
feel another place to go. So love it, love it, love it. There, can't say enough. but we will move on because we have to. You were talking about Black Husky before.
Yeah, so they're having a brewing Christmas party. They're gonna have a food truck, brandy slushies. Who doesn't love that? There's a Midwest staple. Ugly sweater contest, Christmas cookie potluck. So bring Christmas cookies and share. This is Saturday, 12/7, starting at noon. So that'll be a really good time. Christmas themed. Who doesn't love that?
Yeah. You
And
started.
there's jazz music. So I guess if you don't like jazz music, but I don't know, I love jazz music. So
Who doesn't like jazz music? I'm not even
I
trying to
don't know
talk.
people who don't like music.
Right.
So this
Another
one's
market.
near, this one's near and dear to my heart. If there are small kids watching, I hope there's not small kids watching this show because it's not meant for small kids. But my wife and I have been being Santa and Mrs. Claus here for like I think the last 4 or 5 years. So yeah, this is coming up December 7th, Chris Kindle Market. They set up the little huts that you can see in that picture outside to try to make it a little bit like the Christmas markets that you'd see in Germany. Vendors are all there. They've got pretzels and all sorts of homemade goods. I think they grill up some brats that day that you can buy. Yeah, just a fun time to mingle, to shop a little bit, and to see Eau Claire's tallest Santa.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. I think we had talked about this last month, but I wanted to cover it again because I've heard a lot. I've never been, but I've heard a lot of good things. So Between the Bluffs Frostbite Beer and Bites Festival, this is happening at the Lacrosse Center, so big event center. That'll be on December 7th as well, 2 to 6 p.m. Go and look for tickets because that's a ticketed event. VIP very well could be gone by now, but take a look at that big beer festival in December. So you don't see too many big beer festivals in the wintertime.
Yes, and lacrosse, as we know, throws a good party.
Yeah, yeah, they do. Yep.
No question.
Yeah.
Next statement.
So here's a competing one, but this one's also in Eau Claire, and the day after the Chris Kindle Market at Lazy Monk Brewing Project, which is like maybe half a block away from Lazy Monk. They're doing their holiday market and vendor fair inside of Brewing Project, which they have a big space there. So a nice indoor space if you don't like the outdoor stuff. That starts at noon on Sunday, December 8th. So a lot of the same kind of thing, not necessarily the same vendors, but yeah. So if you're looking to do holiday shopping and supporting local businesses and local vendors, that's a good way to do it there.
Am I wrong for saying this is shopping for men?
There are a lot of women that shop this too. I think this is
I'm
just
just saying.
I think this is just a way to get the men to come along.
Because you know how men are like, we're cool enough. Like we'll drop the ladies off, and we'll be like, hey, we'll
Right.
pick you up. Just text us
Right.
back. We won't. But we're not trying to go into all these damn stores. But we would go into a brewery, and then you could maybe get me to buy something.
Right.
So
Yep.
I'm just saying. I'm not.
It's a good way to do it.
Yeah. And I think that's it.
And there's that I will tell you, if those aren't the ones that you want to go to, there's probably about another 100 kind of these events out there. So it's good to see people are doing more and more again.
Yeah, and this is where we always say at the end, check your local breweries. They're doing something too, and we just couldn't get to them. Wisconsin has how many, Joel? I always forget. 253? Two? Anyway,
Yeah.
Joel knows.
276. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
a
we
lot.
can't be covering all of them. So
We'd be here all night.
they all should be having some kind of event. So just check them out, y'all. We just highlight the best ones, the ones that come in our purview. So
Yep.
on that note, the spotlight returns, y'all, right now. I'm happy about that. See you in a bit.
Hey, I'm back, and it is my job to do the beer spotlight today. And funny enough, I was just talking about how much I enjoy Czech lagers, and that there was a Czech dark lager coming up. And I have one of the Czech lagers from Amorphic. Here, quadratic explanation. I'll get to that in a second. If you're not familiar, Amorphic has really upped their game. They now are producing a ton of different Czech lagers. There's some of them have been aged. Some of them are, they're doing pale, they're doing dark, lots of different cool things. Anyway, this quadratic explanation is a warm fermented pale Czech lager rested on whole coffee beans. And I was able to go and look that the coffee beans are from Stone Creek Coffee. So, more local. And so I have it right here. And I kind of cheated because I actually had this on tap when I visited, last week, I believe. And I can tell you right now, the main thing is if you are a coffee person, you are going to really enjoy this beer. And I am really enjoying this beer because I'm a coffee person. When you look, maybe I should move my green screen here. So when you look at it, it obviously is definitely it's a pale. And so when you look at it, you wouldn't be thinking, it's going to have this hearty coffee, aroma and body, but it very much does. The coffee is very prevalent. This is not a coffee beer that is, just kind of in there a little bit, but no, this one hits you very hard with the coffee right from the get-go. You definitely do get some of the base kind of, with the Czech lager. There's a little bit of the bready-ish notes, the bread crackery kind of thing that you get from a Czech lager, but the coffee is the star of the show. It's very well done. And the aroma and the taste are both very similar in that the coffee is very much at the forefront of it, but that it is a much lighter body, which I enjoy. I think it's fun when you find these kind of lighter beers that have this big coffee note, because when you think of coffee beers, you're often thinking of, stouts and porters and these big, darker, heftier beers. And this is a much lighter bodied beer that has phenomenal coffee throughout. And I've actually had 3 different coffee lagers as of late, because I remember when we talked about the Packer pints, the Titletown has their Czech dark lager, and I tried that. And a friend of mine also had a Czech dark lager with coffee from Fair State in Minnesota. And though if I had to pick one, this one from Amorphic would be my top pick. It is just phenomenal. Like I said, very strong on the coffee. So if you enjoy coffee, this is currently still, I believe, available to go in cans. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. Big on the coffee, just overall really delicious.
So, Chris, real quick. The last brewery I just said in our chat, a lot of people cite them. That's why I did, but they're not in my top 5. They will be in my top 10 for sure, though. But we don't have to. I don't want to say them.
You're the one bringing it up, Greg.
Someday we'll do Milwaukee Brewery tiers on this show. Yeah.
Oh, we should do that. We should do that. But more importantly, though, we have business to get to. More importantly, let's go.
So I guess I will go ahead and go. So I am holding here. And again, my green screen thing. So
Come
I'm
on,
holding
Joe,
here.
we want to see your bedroom, man.
I know. So this
wow.
is the first. This is my author proof copy. As you can see, it's got the not for sale banner there. But I received my author proof copy for my book. And it is a very exciting time here. It is now available for pre-order. For those, I think I've kind of talked about the book enough that people listening probably know about it. But my book, Flights Across America, talks about my travels to all the different breweries, does city breakdowns. Over 1,000 breweries are mentioned. Also talks about my advice on planning beer travel. Talking about,
Joe, can I talk about it? Because
you can. Well, because Chris wrote one of the blurbs for the book, one of the promotional blurbs.
So, I mean, Joel, like, what you get from visiting like 1,400 breweries seems like that seems insane to me. I don't know. Maybe I've got like, I haven't counted mine, but I know it's not close to that. But it doesn't matter. Like, the point is, you become an expert at going to breweries from this, and I think this book kind of conveys it. Like, I mean, certainly the guides to certain areas are interesting, but I don't know if I'm gonna be going to the Asheville area or Portland or whatever anytime soon. But what I do know is that I'm going to be going to a brewery, and what I like about this is that it's like a quick masterclass on like how to go to a brewery and kind of like get the most out of the experience.
Yep.
Like I think that like this really practical advice for like the questions to ask, how to ask the questions, what to go, what to look for. Can you walk into a tap room that you've never been in and say, ooh, this is maybe not the place for me, without beyond looking at the tap list and whatever. So I think there's a lot of really practical advice, even if you're not going to be traveling, and there's also the vicarious like coolness of kind of visiting these places through Joel. And so I mean that's what I
well, I appreciate, like I said, Chris is the very first page of the book, right there with the blurbs. Chris is in there. So here, do you see you're actually, hold on. You're on the top too there, Chris. You're
oh my gosh,
there
wow.
on the top. So,
look at that.
Right there, Chris Strosner, Milwaukee Magazine. But yeah, so it is very much a book that I included a lot of kind of my advice and stuff, because I wanted it to also have a lot of information that wasn't going to necessarily change. Because obviously with this book, things change with breweries. That's just the way it is. This is a book that is a snapshot in some ways, but it is, overall, a lot of the things will stay the same for hopefully a very long time. But breweries are going to close, breweries are going to move. That's just, the gist of it. But I'm really excited about it. I am very happy with how it came out. It came out the way I wanted it to come out. I also I do list all the winners from like my annual reviews. It kind of answers the questions about people always asking about my favorite beers, my favorite breweries and experiences. And I kind of just say, well, this is the closest you're going to get to an answer out of me, because there is not one specific answer. When you go to it just isn't. It's impossible to have one answer for that. And again, like I said, all 50 states covered, and I break down, I mentioned over 200 cities and towns, and I do city breakdowns of all the stuff. And it is currently available for pre-order on Amazon. You can go to any of my social media platforms, and it will be in my bio or on Twitter, and I've done different posts on it. But I don't think I included the thing. It is a hefty. It's an over 300 page book. It has over 70 pages of color photos of the flights and the tap rooms and some of the views at the breweries, and the tap handle, all sorts of cool stuff. A majority of it is the cool flight boards, because I love flight boards, and hence the name of the book, Flights Across America. It would have been silly to not include a whole bunch of pictures of the unique flight boards that I've been able to enjoy throughout my travels. So yeah, you can go check that out. But if you are local here in Wisconsin, next month, a day before the book goes live, because the actual release date is December 17th. That's when people online will hopefully get it either arrived or it'll be shipped. It'll get there before Christmas, is my understanding. So you can get it as a Christmas gift for people, which is part of the reason that I'm timing it up like this. But I am doing a book release party at Lakefront on December 16th. Currently the plan is 6 to 8. I'm still working with them. I believe if it's not 6, it's gonna be like 6:30. It's gonna be right around that time. It'll be kind of a meet and greet. I'm going to have a ton of books that I can sell and sign and sign if people want that for whatever. I've had a lot of people ask about getting a signed copy. I don't know why. Probably devalues it. And the is hopefully also going to be there to help me conduct kind of a live Q&A with the people that are there. And I will also, I think, open it up to, and prior to the event, I will do posts on Twitter and Instagram and post about, if anybody that is not able to attend has questions, they're more than welcome to do that. And if you're not able to go to that event, the next month, I'm also doing a meet and greet and signing at Supermoon on January 16th at 6:30. And that'll be, again, another simple, I'll be there signing books, talking with people. I also am working right now on, I have an event in California, but I don't think anybody listening is going to be, attending that. I'm going to be out in California visiting family over the holidays, and I already talked with a brewery out there and am doing one out there. But I am currently working with and talking with breweries in Madison, Chicago. I'm hopefully going to be up in Green Bay, Waukesha, Neenah, the kind of the Fox River Valley area. I am going to be doing a lot of events. So that is kind of the, keep your eye on my social media feeds. I will be posting all about them. I'm sure I'll mention them again and during our monthly kind of stuff here as well. But I'm very, very excited. And I should note, I do get a much bigger cut, about twice the cut, if you buy it from me directly than if you buy on Amazon. So if you're not able to come to the events, any sale, I am so happy if you buy my book, no matter what. But I will be, if you are able to buy the books from me personally, that makes it all the better from my point of view, because then Bezos isn't getting a cut of it, so that, otherwise he's just going to go buy another yacht. And, I'm just trying to help my family. So, try to weigh those options, I guess. But yeah,
just like beer at the brewery, just like beer, buy it from the brewery.
Exactly.
Buy it
So
from
yes,
the author, support the
yep.
author.
That's right.
So again, release party, if you're able to go, December 16th, Lakefront. Really excited about it. Really excited. This book I've been working on for 2.5 years, finally getting out to folks. So yeah, that's kind of my catching up now that I finally have, like I said, it was pretty sure like having the hard actual copy in my hands. So it's real, and it's pretty exciting to actually have that now.
Very nice.
Excellent. I guess this is the time that we ask Chris what's been going on with Milwaukee Magazine. You can skip the part you told us today.
This is our November issue. It's an interview with Doc Rivers and Shaka Smart. One is apparently a good coach, and one is apparently a bad coach, if you believe what's going on out there. It's a really cool story. I don't know if you can see that, but that's my back. I got to interview these two guys in the Bucks locker room, and it's a really cool. It's a cool story. The connection there is more than just the city that they're coaching in. It's Marquette. So there's a lot. Both of them are, obviously Doc went to Marquette, won a championship. No, didn't win a champ. He was like All-American there. Now returning to that, there's I think it's a pretty interesting interview. It kind of transcends sports to some degree. The chat is blowing up. The chat is blowing up with Doc and Marquette commentary. Yeah, I'm Marquette announced a new president today, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna jump in early on the UW Marquette smack talk. That game isn't for a couple weeks yet, but so I'll recuse myself from that. It was fun talking about. It was really cool talking with Doc Rivers before Shaka came about the Bears, and it was a Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday morning, and the night before was a Commanders game where it was like the first game where Jaden Daniels was like amazing, and Caleb Williams has been kind of trash, so he was like, oh man, I just hope we didn't do it again. And I kind of asked him, I'm like, what's it like being a sports fan, as a coach and as a athlete, and as a athlete parent and all this stuff. Like, does it change the way? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. So that's the kind of stuff that's in this story, is kind of about, it's not like, X's and O's or anything like that. So that's in our November issue, which has been sounding great. It's awesome to hear. I don't know. That's it. Nothing else really going on with me.
Landon?
Just a short PSA about shopping local. So it's tough to run a small business this time of year, and for whatever reason, during election years, people get real tight with their money. I'm not saying that you have to just go out and blow all your money, but for some reason, everybody just pulls back a little bit. So I would say, if you can, this Christmas season, if you're going to buy for the ones you love or your friends or whatever, shop local as much as you can, including breweries. Go into the brewery, buy the beer there. But also small businesses, they're kind of hurting. So.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. I let you pause. I didn't know when you were gonna finish, so I didn't want to run over you. Cool. Good times. So as many of y'all know who follow me, we do our stream now in Discord. We call it Speakeasy, and just like a regular Speakeasy, you have to know the password. So the password is me. You have to find me on social media, or know someone who's in there, like Joel, and Joel can verify that you can come into our Speakeasy, and you can see our Friday stream on Fridays. We will have Manny, the serial offender. He literally is like a serial, like Joel is a brewery expert. Manny's a cereal expert, Chris. So,
like literally like breakfast cereal.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a fun thing to be an expert at.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
His daughter's in on it too, so it's a whole thing. He's on Instagram and all that. So that's Friday, y'all, for all y'all's enjoyment. And then lastly, I can't let us go without saying that y'all absolutely positively, if you are a fan of this stream or you watch it, you have to be here next month. We have an absolutely positively huge announcement.
Couldn't be any bigger, honestly.
Yeah.
And we're not downplaying that at all by any stretch. So y'all want to be here for that. Cool. Tell everybody you want to be here. We're back on Chris's X, and apparently many people are watching tonight, so that's good too. And another thing, y'all. Oh, this is what I want to say. Y'all need to be over here on the Badger Beer Hour YouTube page. You're going to need to be on the Badger Beer Hour YouTube page. Trust me on that one. We literally have 3 times the people watching us now that subscribe there. So I know all y'all are on there. So head over, click it. Trust me, by next month you'll understand why I'm asking you to do that, and why we're, I think, also hyped to tell y'all what's going on in December. So, yeah. And in all this, we can agree. We can't agree on football teams though, and we're not even going to try. So on that note,
what we're all agreeing on is that the Bears suck. Even Landon can.
I mean, they're terrible. Yeah, they're awful.
Yep.
So hate to see it.
The Bears still suck.
That game last weekend, that's just tough.
Oh.
I won't get into that. I'm a Caleb Williams fan, but so I'll leave
cool.
it.
I mean, I like the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can still be good. I just don't know if Chicago is going to ruin him or not.
Well, Chicago's coach is garbage, so they're not going anywhere with that guy's head coach. Period. That's just my opinion. But we're going to go somewhere, and we'll see y'all next month. Cheers,
Thanks for watching, guys.